Welcome everybody to the Off the Mic Wrestling Show here on YouTube by Mike Mayer. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Good Monday Night Raw that I'm excited to chop up. Before we get going here, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Share with your friends who are wrestling fans. Trying to really start a movement here and engage in healthy wrestling discourse. I have strong opinions, and a lot of people may not like them. But I'm trying to start let's have some good wrestling discourse here. Let's not try to get into this tribalistic nonsense that, I had, I had AEW people coming after me over the weekend, and it's like, okay, what did I ever do to you? I'm just an idiot on the internet. That's what I'm trying to do. I don't care if you don't like my hairline or whatever. I just want to have healthy wrestling conversations, and I like to talk about this type of stuff. It's like, where has that gone? That's kind of my inspiration behind doing this type of stuff. And speaking of that, one of the people who inspires people, inspired people, unfortunately passed away. And that's Sid Vicious, or Sid Justice, wherever you watched him. He, unfortunately, a tragic loss for the wrestling community. He died at the age of 63. We had a nice memorial graphic to open the show. And a great tribute video and tributes from Michael Cole and Corey Graves later on in the show. That was really nice. So, again, it's people like Sid Vicious that inspire people and get them to be hyped up about wrestling, because he was one of the best big men of all time. And again, he was also a great role model, great father figure, really beloved backstage. Michael Cole shared a really good story. It's people like that make me love what I do in terms of doing this show and talking about the performers and talking about the storylines and the characters and the larger-than-life performers like a Sid Vicious, who paved the way for a lot of people who you saw on the screen tonight. So I thought that was a beautiful moment. It's been a really rough time for the wrestling community, but if there's one thing that WWE has always been able to nail, it's paying tribute to legends. And they did right by Sid Vicious. Rest in peace, Sid. You were one of a kind. We're going to miss you. Corey Graves is on commentary with Michael Cole. That's the Pat McAfee replacement. Later on in the show, it's revealed they're going to SmackDown in a couple weeks. So I'm assuming Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett are going to be the Raw announced team, at least moving forward until they go to Netflix. This was the right call. All due respect to Wade, I think Corey and Michael Cole have a ton of chemistry together. They do all the premium live events together, and I think Wade actually is going to be a very interesting, counter to Joe Tessitore being moved into the wrestling sphere. He's a really accomplished announcer, so I'm excited to see where that goes. We start with the Judgment Day. Insert your jokes of 2023 when the Judgment Day literally opened every Monday Night Raw the entire year, it seemed like, but it's the new Judgment Day. Liv Morgan gets her heat with the welcome to Monday Night Raw, all rise for the Judgment Day. Finn Balor throws to a video package showing what happened last week with the Judgment Day, the new Judgment Day. Thank God they didn't change that name to Street Trash or whatever it was reported to be. But they recap the attack and them finally getting one up on the Terror Twins in Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. Carlito out of the video says that was cool. It's nice to see Carlito getting somewhat respected, even though he's really, I'm not going to say a jobber. He's a level above a jobber. He's like a goon who just always gets his ass kicked. But he's been respectable, even more respectable than he was in LWO. He was just a background character in LWO. So then JD McDonough said the beating was a long time coming. Finn Balor said that the Judgment Day is not the bad guys. Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley were, and they got exactly what they deserved. Liv called Rhea selfish and egotistical, and that she should be thanking Rhea for because none of what has transpired in the last 4 to 6 weeks really would have ever been possible if Rhea wasn't selfish and egotistical. That's an interesting take, but hey, she's a heel. So, and then we get to the portion of the evening where Dom Mysterio gets a microphone and everybody boos him before he can even talk, which is always extra fun. It's really remarkable how much one heel turn on his own father changed the entire course of this man's career. This guy was not doing very well as just a generic babyface with his dad. That heel turn saved him and probably turned him, and we'll see where this career goes, turned him into one of the best heels in all of professional wrestling, and we'll see where this takes him. But he has been a central and cornerstone character of this product for a long time, and that is that is in spite of the fact that he has a Hall of Famer's last name attached to him. He's made himself his own, and that deserves to be commended. And that is a credit to Dom as a performer. To get this level of heat is really insane. So he tries to quiet everything down. He then starts talking in English after trying to, tell the crowd to shut up in Spanish. He basically points out, hey, Liv did more for me than you ever did, Rhea, helping me beat my dad. Dom then says, hey, I'm going to be in the Intercontinental Championship tournament, which was already announced. His match is going to be next week. And Liv obviously gives her full support. Then speaking to the devil, Rey Mysterio shows up. We haven't seen him in a while, obviously since Dom turned on Rhea. So the LWO minus Zelina Vega is with him. So Dragon Lee, good to see Dragon Lee, Joaquin Wilde, and Cruz del Toro, who's been off television for a long time. He had an injury that I think happened in NXT, so he had been off television for a while. So good to see Cruz back. So Ray asked Dom if he's looked in the mirror lately, labels him a lost soul. Said, at least when you were with Rhea, one of you had the set and it wasn't you, Dom. So that was a nice little sick burn. Ray said someone needed to put Dom in his place. Basically, it's a little bit of banter back and forth between father and son that leads to a little bit of a brawl with JD McDonough trying to get a cheap shot in on Ray. That gets blocked. The Judgment Day members are quickly cleared from the ring. Dragon Lee gets a really nice assisted dive to the outside, and that leads to a commercial break, which, again, in all Teddy Long fashion, holla, 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 we got an 8-man tag team match, which, by the way, is better than a 16-man tag team match, which we saw for the first time, and I hope for the last time, that we saw that many people in one match. So, thank you, AEW, for checking that off my bucket list. So we come back in progress from this. This was, this got a lot of time, and it was a lot of fun for being just a thrown together opener. Down the stretch, Joaquin Wilde gets his crazy looking assisted dive from the second rope where he flies I swear to God, goes as far up in the rafters and gets so much height and distance on it. It's great to see. But the end of this match really is Ray hits Dom with the 619, goes for the top rope frog splash, but Liv rolls Dom out of the way on her own. Dom gets gets a cradle roll up and gets the pin. He beats his deadbeat dad again because of Liv Morgan. Fits the story, and Judgment Day gets the win. This is the way it had to go. All due respect to LWO. I mean, they're going to be fine. But you had to build something up and get Judgment Day some level of, keep them on their momentum going into the pay-per-view and make them looking kind of strong, especially after what transpires after this match. The Judgment Day then beat everybody up, beat all the LWO people up. They set Ray up on the table for Dom to do a splash, and Dom was not even on the turnbuckle. He was on the post and was ready to jump off. Rhea Ripley's music hits. The crowd goes freaking crazy. It's another insane Rhea Ripley pop. We're just going to rename it that because it's unlike almost any reaction in WWE aside from Roman Reigns. These are Attitude Era level pops for Rhea Ripley. She comes out with Damian Priest. They're both an interesting little bit of a note here. I love the Terror Twins. I also love that this is a platonic relationship. No love triangle. It's the complete opposite of what Liv and Dom are, and I think that's a great balance in this feud. And then they're both wearing each other's merch, which was a nice little touch. So Dom stays on the top rope as Rhea and Damian are chasing off all the Judgment Day members. Basically, it leads to Liv and Dom are able to escape. Carlito and JD take all of the heat here at the end. They both, Priest and Ripley, hit their finishers, South of Heaven and Riptide, respectively. They stand tall. In the midst of all this, Damian Priest screamed, "We are the masters and rulers of the world," which is a nice little tribute to Sid Vicious. Again, Sid Vicious is an inspiration, the why we love wrestling, and I thought it was really nice for them to pay respect to him in the open of this show, and Damian Priest a couple times in this show paid tribute to him. So that was really nice. And this leads me to believe that the Terror Twins are going to lose at Bash in Berlin, and that's not because I think they deserve it. Like, in the direction of where this feud is going, especially with the baby faces standing tall going into the pay-per-view, the premium live event, I would fully expect Finn Balor to be the deciding factor in this match, and I would expect Damian to probably get pinned in this match because of all of the bullshit that happens. I mean, I could see a scenario where maybe Dom takes the pin, but I think just the way that this is going, I think you need to have some level of Finn Balor getting his sort of like starting the clock on that feud, because I think what this match is doing is, I think it's really going to get through the Liv Morgan part, and then I think the Liv Morgan and Dom Mysterio part of this whole thing, and then we're going to have the other parts of this Judgment Day feud kind of splinter off, and you're going to have Damian obviously having his stuff with Finn, and Liv and Rhea having another match, obviously, for the Women's Championship. So this is kind of like a little bit of a stopgap, but that's the way I kind of think this is going. So we're going to have a bunch of Intercontinental Championship qualifiers. I think they said there were two triple threat matches that happened on this show. There's going to be two next week. It's going to lead to a fatal four-way in 2 weeks. Winner of that match gets Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental title. We get an interview with Miz, hyping up his match. He gets confronted by Bronson Reed through all of that. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston are backstage. Interestingly enough, Xavier Woods is in a darker, color scheme, kind of feeding into that, will he turn heel or will he not turn heel? It seemed like a lot more jovial with the New Day back to their, hyped up and happy selves. But in the midst of all this, if you were paying attention, Xavier Woods was saying, man, yeah, we could be civil, and we've been able to last 10 years, but yeah, you didn't tag me in that match last week. And it's like, yeah, okay, we're feeding into something there, which, I don't know what's going to happen in this feud, but nonetheless, it's very interesting. And both of these guys getting an opportunity to maybe, I think it was a good choice to put these guys in, you're going to do 4 triple threat matches with 12 guys. I think Kofi and Xavier are fine enough to be involved, and they both had good showings tonight in their respective matches. Then we get Damage Control, Io Sky and Kairi Sane versus Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark of the Pure Fusion Collective. Listen, this match was fine, but there's not really a whole hell of a lot of reason to care. And I understand that, not everything can really be perfect and digestible for everybody. I like that they're giving women time on the show, and this got about 5 to 6 minutes. It was a good enough match with a really cool finish. Zelina Vega returns. Io Sky hits her moonsault to the outside while Kairi Sane hits her elbow. In stereo, it happens. Kairi gets the pin, and Damage Control stands tall. I like that Damage Control is babyface now, even though it's kind of weird that they kind of just, it kind of just happened out of nowhere. But it's easy to root for Kairi Sane and Io Sky because they're just fucking awesome. So, but yeah, my biggest issue with this is there's just no heat. There's no reason for anybody to care. That being said, it by no means was terrible. It's just like I said, there's just not a whole lot there. I like that Zelina is her own character, which explains why she wasn't out for that match and for the LWO stuff. She's kind of separated and done her own thing. It's great to see Zelina Vega getting pushed because I've always thought the world of her, even when she was a manager. When she was super young over in TNA Impact, she was great. She's always been fantastic, so it's awesome to see her getting a little bit of a push on her own. So if anything's positive out of this, that really, something that was kind of just, meh, just kind of there, it's seeing Zelina and obviously Io and Kairi being baby faces and just being fucking awesome. It's great to see them. Then we get a Wyatt 6 video package. It seems like a weekly occurrence. It's Bo Dallas basically, sort of, talking down about Chad Gable. He basically said, yeah, this isn't family, it's blasphemy. He said they need to cut the head off the snake. He said it's more than a reckoning, it's a purge. That was a really good line. Uncle Howdy and Chad Gable in the main event. Anybody who is going to want to say in their honest to God mind that Chad Gable, after re-signing with this company, is getting buried, he's main evented Raw twice in the last month. So shut your fucking mouth. Chad Gable's awesome, and I'm glad that he's getting main events on Raw. He deserves it. The guy's fantastic. So yeah, this was a relatively quick first hour of the show. Judgment Day and their stuff really took up a large chunk of the first hour. And then top of the second hour is Drew McIntyre. He sort of mocks CM Punk with his, like, is it great to be alive on a Monday night in this city? And he mocked him for boasting about the role the company was been on, all the stuff that like sort of mocking what the promo was, which was kind of filler last week. It wasn't like a lot of people didn't like where this feud was going, that CM Punk, like there wasn't a lot of intensity given that this is a blood feud. I'm not going to hear a lot of people's argument about the bracelet. If you have an issue with the bracelet, you obviously don't know storytelling, and Punk has made that a huge part of this story. So McIntyre said the fans chose nostalgia over the Warrior, who's been there for them even through the darkest of times. So he said, and I still forgive you because you know not what you do. And he spoke about the damage that he would do to Punk in their strap match on the Premium Live event. And he also, in the midst of all of this, did the cross-legged "Do I Have Your Attention Now," which was a nice little callback. Listen, this was a lot better than what they did last week because of what followed. So CM Punk's entrance music hit. By the way, as this promo was going on, CM Punk, being the most unserious dude of all time, is doing an Instagram live. God bless CM Punk for just being a fucking troll. He knows who he is. And it's like he's unapologetically himself. And it got him into some trouble in AEW. But, it's seeing goofy shit like that on Instagram, he just doesn't care. He's just having a good time. And so, yeah, his entrance music hits, Punk's entrance. And Punk sneaks up from behind on McIntyre, whips him with the strap. They fight to ringside. McIntyre gets the better of it early on. He picks up the strap, charges at Punk, but Punk backdrops him on the announce table. Punk then gets the strap back, starts whipping McIntyre with it repeatedly until security runs in. McIntyre hops the barricade. Punk then beats up 3 security guards with the strap. Tosses 2 of them out of the ring. Corey says on commentary, Punk is out of his mind. Adam Pearce actually said that Punk got fined. It's nice to know that Adam Pearce now in kayfabe is actually, disciplining CM Punk after it seems like Drew's been getting screwed over in this whole storyline. Yeah, that was the end of the segment. This is exactly what this feud needed. There wasn't need for a whole hell of a lot of talking. I thought a lot of the Drew banter at the beginning was entertaining. He did a good job of painting the picture of like, hey, you guys chose a nostalgia act over a guy who's been grinding his ass off for the last 3 years and killing himself for this company. Like Drew was the Warrior during the pandemic. CM Punk wasn't wrestling at that point, so it was good to see that. This is what it needed to be. I think CM Punk is going to win it at Bash in Berlin to set up a third match inside Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood in Atlanta in October. I said this was probably one of the better Punk Drew segments that have happened in the last little while. Because like I said, they needed to have some physicality added to this feud, so this is what it needed to be. Then we get Jey Uso and his crazy entrance. It's a vibe, everything. By the way, can I address this for a second? Rikishi had some things to say about Jey Uso and his push and the fact that Jey Uso hasn't been doing a whole lot of winning, or he hasn't been featured a lot on television. Whenever Jey Uso shows up in a building, people are going fucking nuts. Just because he isn't winning, and Rikishi, you should know this. You're a Hall of Famer. You're a Hall of Famer in this business. I understand he's your son. Trust the process. Just because he's not winning, and he won this match, spoiler alert, but he's showing up, everybody's doing he even got Corey Graves to bust out of his shell sheepishly a little bit. I mean, he, for God's sake, in a Judgment Day segment where he really had no involvement in other than he's been trying to vibe on Rhea Ripley, everybody was chanting Yeet. He's one of the most over guys in the company. Rikishi, calm down. Your son is going to be fine, okay? So Jay gets his entrance. It's a Intercontinental title, one of the first triple threat match of 4. 2 happen on this week's show. 2 are going to happen next week. So it's Jay versus Kofi, Kingston versus Karrion Kross. Really, like, what this came down to, Uso, near the end of this match, he spears Kross and hits the Uso splash for the win. So, yeah, Karrion Kross takes the defeat. Listen, I think Karrion Kross is fine. There's just not a lot of reason to be invested in the Final Testament. And I was a little surprised that even in a triple threat match that Authors of Pain, and there wasn't a little bit more of what me and my sister call fuckery. Not a lot of interference in this, which, you know, I can appreciate to some degree, that this was a relatively clean finish. And Jay advances. Again, Rikishi, your son's going to be fine. I think there's a really strong possibility that he's going to end up winning this tournament. So then we get a video of Gunther on Instagram. He was not there. He's already overseas. I think he did a match in the Netherlands against Ilya Dragunov. Let's get ready for that sort of shit to happen, because those two will literally fight forever and beat the shit out of each other. So Gunther said he was in Europe and he was saying he was still focused on Saturday. Said that Bash in Berlin will be remembered as the day when Randy Orton finally met his match. And that, of course, he says, yeah, I'm going to leave as the World Heavyweight Champion. Yeah, so that was, it's nice that they got Gunther in the show. I would have liked to have seen Gunther involved a little bit more, maybe getting another physicality segment out of him and Randy Orton to show a lot of the personal nature. But let's get real. I love Randy Orton. He ain't winning. He had a really good promo to help hype up this match. This is a stopgap feud. And they got blessed with this because of a botched finish in the King of the Ring final. But it's I would expect this to main event. It should, considering it is in Berlin. It's relatively close to where Gunther is from. He's from Austria, but Germany's not that far away. So I would expect this to probably be the main event. So it was also nice to see they aired, just to transition out of this, Bianca Belair, actually, being the megastar that she is, she's going to appear in a crossover, a little bit of thing on the Bel Air, the spinoff show on Peacock, so that was really cool. As I mentioned, it was also then revealed SmackDown's debuting September 13th on USA. Cole said, hey, me and Graves are going to be reunited on SmackDown. And our next guest in the arena could be on Friday nights or Monday nights, depending on what happens in Berlin. Out comes Randy Orton to a huge ovation. I love that he pointed this out to start his promo. He said, yeah, I've been listening to the voices in my head for so many years, but most lately the voices belong to the fans that I've been hearing, and he thanks the fans for singing his entrance music, even though it took him 15 years. It's crazy that Voices has been Randy Orton's entrance music since 2009. But that's awesome. This is a really good promo. If they weren't going to go the physicality route to build to this match, Randy said he's won a lot of titles, but the one he loves the most was the World Heavyweight title. Said it was the first title he's won. We won't mention who he beat for that. If you want to go look that up, go ahead, do it at your own leisure. It's unfortunate that was the case, but still, Randy Orton is still the youngest World Heavyweight Champion ever. And he said he's the first person to have his name engraved on the belt. He said he was given the honor of unifying the two world titles, and that was crazy enough that was 10 years ago. And they retired the old big gold belt when they unified the titles when he beat John Cena at TLC in 2013 actually, end of 2013. So I like that Randy, pointed that out and talking about the legacy and hey, a year ago this was reborn as the World Heavyweight title, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be back. I had spinal fusion surgery, double fusion back surgery, so it's a new title and a new legacy. That was interesting that he brought up new legacy playing into what might be happening down the line with Cody Rhodes, because that's, I think, what's going to splinter off of this Randy Orton loss at Bash in Berlin. And so, yeah, like, he did a nice job of really, telling the story. He said he grew up in front of the fans, signed his first contract at 19 years old. Orton then said Gunther was a 30-something egotistical prick when he arrived in WWE. So I like the way that they're painting this. It's one of the legends of the business and a pompous, arrogant world champion in his first title defense in front of home fans. They do a great job of acknowledging that this could be a hostile crowd. This will be, I would say, a split crowd. And I think Gunther is enough good of a heel that he'll probably get some boos. Randy Orton's Randy Orton. He's one of the greatest of all time. It's going to be fine. I don't think they're going to have that much to worry about. But, these international crowds have been super eccentric. Let's call it that. But, yeah, good promo from Randy Orton. I'm excited to see this match. I expect it to be the main event of this show, considering, like I said, you're doing a pay-per-view in Germany. Your world champion is from Austria. It just makes a ton of sense. We get a video package of the women's tag champions, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. They basically hype up their match at Bash in Berlin against Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. They said they're going to expose them as frauds. I fully believe that they've done a good job of lengthening this thing out with Jade and Bianca kind of chasing the tag team titles. I think they're going to win them back on Saturday in Berlin. So then we get, in my opinion, the highlight of this show. Big, meaty men slapping meat. Yeah. Just merging everything in here. Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman. Holy shit, this was way better than anything. Like, I thought this was going to be awesome. This was 10 times more awesome than it could have been. These guys beat the shit out of each other. Reed hit a suicide dive. For a guy at 350 pounds doing that sort of shit is insane. Reed goes up top for the tsunami, but Strowman cuts him off, slams him to the mat, which was insane to see a 350-pound man get slammed like that, and the ring didn't break. Strowman then clotheslines Reed, knocks him off his feet with a big boot. He then hoists Bronson Reed up for his running power slam, his finish. Reed slips out. He goes to the apron. Strowman grabs Reed by the throat, but Reed clotheslined Strowman over the top rope. And Reed starts walking away. And effectively, this match ends really, like, there wasn't even really a count out. It was a non-finish. Effectively, I guess you could call it a double count out. But who cares? Because what happened after this was as unbelievable as you could see. Like, this was just what they have done with Bronson Reed in the last month is as good of any building of a character or a performer that I have seen in years. It reminds me of what happened with Braun Strowman when he was kind of in the similar spot. Like, kind of like, this big guy who doesn't have a whole lot of buzz around him. He's good, but it's like, okay, we don't really care. And then he beats the shit out of Roman Reigns with that famed "I'm not finished with you" thing. And everybody, when he flipped an ambulance and was just doing all this crazy shit and just continuously telling Roman he's not finished with him. And Braun Strowman became the guy that we know and love, the monster of all monsters, the monster among men. That's what they're doing with Bronson Reed here. And this angle here, like, yeah, the stuff that he did with Seth, the stuff that he did with R-Truth, all the stuff that he has done in the last month, this was the cherry on top of the sundae. So Reed and Strowman, they fight all the way up the stage. Said the match is really an afterthought. So like I said, Reed reverses a whip, sending Strowman into the video wall. So you get the static shock thing. Bronson goes backstage. He grabs a trash can. He's waiting for Strowman to come through. Gorilla, and he throws the trash can at Braun. Once he gets through the curtain, they fight all the way to the parking lot. Strowman gets to his feet and tosses a security guard into a production crate, chokeslams another one through a table with catering on it. They get further out to the parking lot. Reed picks up a piece of it's like a metal rigging. and Strowman grabbed him by the throat, chokeslammed him onto a car. Corey makes a great little line saying, "Yeah, I guess that's what I get for not paying for the extra insurance." I'm sure that wasn't Corey's car, but still, that was funny. Strowman picks up a piece of rigging on his end. He tosses it at Reed, who moves, and I think it struck a car or something. Braun then hits a shoulder block that sends Bronson Reed sliding over the top of a car and slides off the car all the way to the concrete. That was nasty. It took a rough landing there. Strowman tosses Reed onto a production equipment and joined him on it. Reed hits Strowman with a pipe that he found twice. And Strowman is effectively knocked out on top of a car. Bronson Reed gets a little bit elevated on top of it, and he does the tsunami onto the car that effectively you get a little bit of shock in there, a little bit of a mini explosion, and that's it. And holy shit, this was a masterpiece. A goddamn masterpiece of just big, meaty men beating the shit out of each other and the right guy getting put over in this situation. Braun Strowman didn't take a loss. This is the perfect use of a non-finish. And I thought that they honestly could have done the ring blowing up spot, but that's been pretty much overdone. To execute this and to execute it the way that they did, the tsunami has been utilized so well as just like a death move with a guy of Bronson Reed's size being able to do something like that and hitting it on a car to put down a monster like Braun Strowman. Just, it puts over Bronson Reed to a different level. It's just amazing what they've been able to do with this guy since SummerSlam. Like and when Seth Rollins comes back, like however this goes, Bronson Reed is going to come out of this as one of the stars of 2024 because I've always thought the world of him, but he just never had really any personality or a character to him. Now he's just a guy who just beats the shit out of people. No regard for anyone's health or safety. He's doing this on cars. He's doing this through rings. At some point, he's probably going to do it through a table and kill somebody doing it. It's just, this is really freaking amazing what they've been able to do with this guy. And it's a testament to what Triple H has been able to do to get people invested in these guys and just showing faith and showing trust that these guys are going to be able to get over and making good and executing good booking choices. And this was just a textbook way to handle this and get Bronson Reed to that next level, which he's been just gradually climbing up the ladder. He's the best part of Raw, in my opinion, the last month. Then we get the second of two Intercontinental title triple threat matches. Miz versus Xavier Woods versus Pete Dunne. Man, this was a fun match. I mean, at one point, Xavier Woods did the Cesaro swing. I don't know if that was intentional, but that was hilarious. And then at the end of this match, it looked like Pete Dunne was going to submit Miz, and Miz puts his hand on top of Xavier Woods to effectively break up the submission, which was a neat little bit of creativity on that part. So Woods hits the limit breaker, but Dunne pulls the ref out of the ring before the 3 count can be executed. He kicks Woods and then hits Miz with the bitter end finish to get the 3. Pete Dunne advances. Hell yeah. I love everything that they've been able to do with Pete Dunne. I mean, he's working double duty. He's doing stuff with Trick Williams in NXT. He's doing, he's getting involved in, obviously, the Intercontinental title picture. Pete Dunne's fucking fantastic. So it's nice to see him, and obviously trying to shed his skin, finally, of how much of an embarrassment it was to have that Butch nickname. Kind of like a little bit of a jab at Vince McMahon, but he's blaming it on Sheamus. Noted, Sheamus is in this tournament as well, so maybe that could play a role into all of this. We then go backstage to Braun Breaker being interviewed by Jackie Redmond. Sarcastically says bravo to Jey Uso and Pete Dunne. Breaker said, "Hey, Jey, you better watch your mouth. No member of the Uso family has ever beat up a member of my family, and you're not going to be the one to do it, Jey." Who? That's planting seeds. I think Jey's going to win this tournament, I think. And then Breaker just sort of dismisses the idea of Pete Dunne winning the title. Said he's a dog and the worst is yet to come. Listen, Braun Breaker is fantastic. He's not losing the title anytime soon. And I like that they're building up this big tournament to earn an opportunity at him rather than just like we're finding the next challenger. This is a good way to progress through weekly episodic television. There's a graphic shown, Raw, 37th TV event sellout, 54th sellout in 2024. Holy shit, WWE is on a roll of a lifetime. It's amazing what they've been able to do. We get a Rhea and Damian video package. Priest said Judgment Day stabbed them in the back. It's nice to know what you guys did, and points out, yeah, you guys think that we're the bad guys, and he said, you're damn right, we're the bad guys. This is an interesting approach to this. Rhea said it never felt so good to be bad. Said Judgment Day made them villains that they can't live without. Damian then said the Judgment Day members want to play victims, so they don't have to play at Bash in Berlin because he and Ripley will make them victims. And Rhea said they didn't become the most destructive force by being good guys. Rhea actually dropped some Spanish lines, which was pretty cool. And Priest said basically, we're your devils and we're coming for you. Good promo. Again, like I said, I think Rhea and Damian, I mean, they don't necessarily have to win in this spot. I could see why they'd want to go that route, but I think using Finn Balor in this scenario with this Judgment Day angle, I think would be a good way to get out of this and, have the Terra Twins take a loss. And they stood tall on this show, so maybe that happens. They run through the Bash in Berlin lineup. I think we're going to stick with 5 matches. Some people could get mad about that. I really don't give a shit. It makes these pay-per-views feel more exclusive. And again, these television main events feel like a bigger deal. Like Chad Gable main eventing a Raw almost felt like a pay-per-view. So it's like these shows are feeling like, mini premium live events throughout, and they're episodic television. They feel like must-see, like a pay-per-view should feel. So then obviously a nice gesture. Michael Cole and Corey Graves told some stories about Sid Vicious. Memorial video package aired. The narrator pointed out how much of a good sport, even though he was a bad guy, and that how much of a family man he was outside of the ring. That was a really nice gesture. That was it was really well done by WWE, paying tribute to a legend. Again, rest in peace, Sid Vicious. Then we run down the matches for next week in Denver. They're going to be staying in Denver 2 nights. Interestingly enough, because NXT No Mercy, and I'll have some other content about how I think that show is going to go, because that should be interesting. Joe Hendry's going to probably be in the main event. He's going for the NXT title. It should main event. He's obviously one of the biggest stars. Heck, WWE did a top 10 entrances in their company. Joe Hendry was number 9. Joe Hendry is not even under contract with WWE. That's how big of a deal this guy is. So they run down next week's Raw in Denver. We get Sheamus, Bronson Reed, and Ludwig Kaiser in one triple threat for the Intercontinental title. I would imagine Bronson Reed does not advance. I mean, he could advance, and we could just, build to him getting screwed over in the Fatal 4-Way, and that's the Seth Rollins return spot, or the Braun Strowman continuation of their feud, however they want to do this. Ilya Dragunov, Dragon Lee, and Dom Mysterio in the other triple threat. Some interesting triple threat matches on that Intercontinental title side. It'll be good to see Ilya back. And then Zelina Vegas facing Shayna Baszler. So that'll be pretty cool. Neat little... and I like that they're building like these matches and announcing them a week in advance, not just throwing shit together on social media and just randomly throwing shit out there so it sticks. Like another company that I know. And then we get the main event, Uncle Howdy versus Chad Gable. Again, if you want to convince yourself that Chad Gable is getting screwed over because he's taking a bunch of losses, or he's kind of been like running away, being scared and all that, Chad Gable has shown out. And the fact is, in the last month, he has had two Raw main events. That's nothing to sneeze at. And it's against one of the most intriguing storylines characters in the Wyatt Six and Uncle Howdy. Great to see Bo Dallas wrestling again. I got to see him at an event in a random wrestling ring in Phoenix right before the Royal Rumble, where he won a Royal Rumble match qualifying spot when NXT was really kind of just like in its early infancy stages. So I've always thought the world of Bo Dallas, and I think he's always kind of gotten a raw deal. So this new gimmick and the way that they've built it up has been really cool. Near the end of this match, Uncle Howdy gets a neck breaker, sets up for the Sister Abigail, but Ivy Nile comes in for the distraction. Gable puts in an ankle lock, and Uncle Howdy's able to escape the hold. Shoves Gable, and then we get a ref bump. Okay. So then Uncle Howdy puts the mandible claw on. The Creeds show up. They get Howdy to ringside, ran him into the barricade. Howdy sits on the ground, laughs at the Creeds. Lights go out. And this is where everything got crazy. And the Wyatt Six show up. Poor Samantha Irvin was in the crosshairs. And somewhere Ricochet, who's now happily in AEW, was probably like, "Get away from my bae. Get away from my future wife." Ricochet, I love you, man. I hope you're doing okay. You shouldn't have let poor Samantha Irvin just be hanging out at ringside where she could be in the crosshairs of the Wyatt Six. So Dexter Lumis jumps off the barricade onto the Creeds. Joe Gacy and Eric Rowan show up. Rowan sets up Julius for a move in the timekeeper's area, but Ivy Nile jumps on the back. Rowan continues to work over Julius even though Ivy Nile is on his back. In the ring, Chad Gable goes for his top rope moonsault, but Uncle Howdy avoids and then hits the Sister Abigail for the win. Bo paid tribute, Uncle Howdy paid tribute to Bray Wyatt. Another cool thing in this match, ahead of one of the commercial breaks, Uncle Howdy did a nice little tribute to Luke Harper, Brody Lee, with the yeah yelling. That was like the tributes and the elements and the paying homage to Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper and the Wyatt family has been really great in this whole angle. And this hasn't felt hokey. This hasn't felt ridiculous. This has felt fresh. The crowd's still invested in it. Even Chad Gable, who's taking losses in this, doesn't feel like he's significantly harmed by this. They have done a really good job with the Wyatt Six in this whole angle with American Made in really establishing, and like some people are going to be mad, oh, we didn't get the payoff with Otis. Otis is doing fine. Like, everybody has benefited from the way things have branched off with Chad Gable moving on, being attacked by the Wyatt Six, going after the Wyatt Six, and now obviously the Wyatts establishing themselves with the six-person tag victory, and then obviously Uncle Howdy getting the win tonight. So this was a really good Raw. I'm excited for Bash in Berlin, and I'm excited to see where things go moving forward. SmackDown will be interesting, and again, I'll have some picks coming out later in the week to talk about how I think the show is going to go. Maybe they add another match, maybe they don't. I don't think they do. But again, tribalist people are going to be like, yeah, there should be more matches. There shouldn't be that many video packages. Like, guys, the way WWE paces it, it gives you an opportunity to catch your breath and, like, be a normal person, not be like watching a Transformers movie and seeing 7,000 things explode. You're pacing yourself. I don't see what the problem is. So, thanks everybody for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. Share this with your friends if they love wrestling content. Again, trying to start a movement here. Follow me on Twitter at OffTheMic28. Follow the show at OTMic Wrestling. Again, lots of shorts, lots of new content coming out this week. We'll have NXT picks. We'll have Bash in Berlin picks. We'll have short opinions, digestible opinions. I may even delve more into Rikishi and how ridiculous those comments were about Jey Uso. Rikishi, stay out of your son's business, okay? But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys real soon. Bye-bye.